We're live in Dedham, Massachusetts with our continuing coverage of the Karen Read retrial of the century. We've got a live studio audience, and you're going to hear a lot from them this hour. The subject of our investigation, obviously, the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. But what we're doing here is really zeroing in and focusing on the video evidence. And there have been a bunch of videos in this case. We're going to show them to you in chronological order during the course of this hour. And really, we have just one question all hour long. And the question in our investigation is about the videos. And what do these videos reveal? We'll get to that in a second. But first, for those of you who don't know the backstory, here it is. The death of John O'Keefe was tragic. A brave officer raising 2 children as a single parent. Now, his girlfriend Karen Read has been charged with his murder, and the case has been clouded by controversy surrounding surveillance videos from the night John died and the investigation which followed. Some videos don't exist. Some have gaps in time, and others are just not 100% clear. In a case where each side has a completely different version of how John O'Keefe died, evidence from videos should help the jury find the truth. During the first trial, the jury was divided and could not agree about what happened. But now, second time around, both sides are hoping their side's interpretation of these videos will persuade the jury. Meanwhile, the public waits as the evidence unfolds inside the courtroom. So as we show you these videos all hour long, we are going to ask the question, what do these videos reveal? Joining me to talk about all of this, I've got attorney, former prosecutor Catherine Loftus with me here in studio. We've got Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, longtime Massachusetts attorney Rick Grundy, and John DePietro, host and creator of Road Patrol Live. And of course, we've got Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas with us as well. Let's do this. Let's get to the first video. This is the video from C.F. McCarthy's. Let's take a look. Okay, I want to go right to Cody Thomas. And Cody, you know, you take a look at this particular video, and there's a couple aspects of it. But the aspect that you have right here is you can see all the drinking that's taking place that night.
Absolutely, Vinny. This part of the video is pretty self-explanatory. 9:32 p.m. at the bar, C.F. McCarthy's. We got Karen right here. We got John O'Keefe right here. We got everyone else they were hanging out with. But what we have right here circled, all these drinks sitting right in front of Karen and John. So it's pretty evident that drinks were flowing that night.
Yeah, so when I think of this, to me this is a huge issue in the case. And I think it's bigger this time around is the level of drinking, Matt. It's become a bigger part of this trial.
You know, they also built that timeline last year that was also really powerful in the number of drinks. But to me, what really points out or, you know, is in focus for that is the fact that they're getting along.
Yeah, there's that hug, John.
There was. He seemed, you know, all was well, but at the same time, this is also what Karen described. It was a weak pour, and it certainly, they have it down of how many she had, and it did. The night seemed like it was starting off very pleasant. He was happy to see her.
I want to go back to Cody, because you've got a member of our studio audience and what they're thinking about the C.F. McCarthy video.
Absolutely, Vinny. This is Elizabeth. Elizabeth standing here. What do you make of this video, Elizabeth?
Okay, I watched the body language, and I watched her body language was really towards him. So I'm watching people. I'm not really watching the drinks, but it's also what isn't in the video. They don't eat the whole night. There is no food. And if we think about what really happened, at the end of the night, she wanted to go eat pizza. She was hungry. No one has ever talked about blood sugar or what her blood sugar may have been, but There is no food, but again, there's love in the very beginning, and there's no food.
Yeah, what's your takeaway from the video?
Well, I think it shows two things. That one, that they're clearly, even though they're a loving couple, but and they drink heavily. I think that's apparent, and that sort of goes to what the Commonwealth's sort of perception of their relationship is that they sort of have this back and forth, and when they drink, they sort of have fun, and that some, things can enrage it. So I think it serves two purposes.
Rick, what do you think?
Alcohol fuels the love. I think the love comes, hey, we're out here to have a good time. I'm not going to be arguing with you here. It's like so much of the evidence in this case. For the prosecution, they're drinking their gills out. For the defense, they're getting along.
Yeah.
And you run it through the filter of which way they're leaning.
He was having Bud Light. She immediately went for the vodka tonic.
Yeah.
Weak.
It was weak, so she got
pour.
a sidecar.
Let's get to the next video. We're going to move ahead to around 5:08. This is probably one of the most important videos for the defense. Let's take a look. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that video trying to figure out if the tail light is fully cracked in that moment. Cody, you've got a still frame from there that looks pretty powerful.
Yeah, Vinny, we took a still frame of the car going away after it supposedly hit, may or may not have hit John O'Keefe's car. But what we did, 5:08 a.m., we circled the tail light in question. And if you watch closely in the video, you can kind of see right here, there's a dark mark kind of where the heading of the light folds around to the side of the car. So,
but there's a lot of red there.
There's a lot of red, but there's also one
A lot of folks are talking about all the red here, John.
Yeah, this is so significant because if you're a Karen Reed supporter, this is how they say she damaged the tail light. The prosecution tries to say she really tapped it.
And to me, the comparison is this video versus the photo that you see where all the red is gone in that right rear tail light.
Yep.
And there were pre-trial hearings about this. They were going to do testing in the driveway of John O'Keefe's home, and they were going to test to see whether or not the taillights would have lined up. But the jury has also seen that second video where there's a close-up and it's enlarged of the tire of John O'Keefe's car, and the car does move. There is contact.
Yes.
I don't think there's any doubt that there's contact, but to me it seems clear.
What seems clear? What do you see that's clear?
I think the tire moves.
Okay. But is the tail light
impact.
fully cracked like the prosecution has presented it to this jury, that it's all broken? Like we saw the pictures in court of how much of the red right tail light was missing.
I think it's a difficult picture. I think you could interpret it one way or the other.
It's an ink blot test.
It's tough either way. I think you could see it. I think you could make the argument both ways. It's not clear. It's dark. It's snowing. It's not the greatest piece of evidence.
Cody, you're with another audience member.
Yes, who am I standing with here tonight?
Maria.
Maria. Now, Maria, what do you make of the still image? What do you make of the entire video?
Well, I hate to say it, but living in Massachusetts, we're always tapping cars, getting into tight spaces and everything. I've actually done this, and I've never cracked a tail light.
And that's what bumpers are for, really.
It's okay. Vinny says I'm a bad driver all the time.
Yeah, I do, but he's actually a great driver, which is why he's driving me around, and I'm not driving him around. What do you think about the light there? Do you think it's fully cracked, like prosecutors say? Because this would be after, according to prosecutors, she struck and killed John O'Keefe.
Right. I see that, and I agree. Honestly, I hate to say it, but it could go either way.
Rick, if it's going either way, what does that mean?
First off, I was the only person I know that failed a Rorschach test, so I might not get this right. But again, I think it's going to be argued either way, and people are going to hear it depending on which way they're leaning that way. But I think that this probably weighs more in the favor of the defense, and what you're going to hear a lot from the prosecution on this is there's no damage to John O'Keefe's car, and that if it was a heavy enough hit, not to just move the car, but to actually cause this damage. You're going to see something, scraping something.
I just see so much red right here.
Because according to the prosecution, all
the
of the red is in the yard at 34 Fairview. Because remember, it's just the sliver that's left on the side of the taillight. So when we're in the defense case in chief, I bet you they play this video quite a lot.
Yeah, I've got to come over here. This just join us. This just looks like red. I don't see the white there. And there's only a tiny piece when you take a look at that photo that they have from the Sally Port when it's all cleared out. I mean, I think this is a huge problem. How did they get around it?
The taillight is certainly key, but I agree. I'm just curious, why do you hate admitting some of these things you're saying? Like, I hate to say
That's
this,
a great
and I hate to
question.
say that.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I'm kind of,
Your secret's safe with us, I promise.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watch the trial all day long, and I
Okay.
go back and forth, back and forth.
But why do you hate to say, I think the following?
I don't know.
Oh, that's honest.
That's honest.
I think there's a lot of coverage on this case, and I think that people are very entrenched in one side or the other.
one
And
side
so
or
I
the
think
other.
people are afraid to speak their position sometimes if it's contrary.
It could
to
be
what-
held against you. All right, don't go anywhere, folks. We've got more videos to go through, and we've got our live audience here in Dedham, Massachusetts, with our continuing coverage of the retrial of the Senate. Is Karen Reed a killer girlfriend
She's guilty.
or the scapegoat in an elaborate cover-up?
Karen Reed was framed.
Karen Reed is accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend.
And it's stated repeatedly, I hit him, I hit him.
She may end up taking the stand. Her first trial ended with a hung jury.
They haven't proven anything. Will a jury finally agree on a verdict?
We know who did it.
The Karen Reed murder retrial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
I saw a dark SUV out front.
Did you know whose SUV that was?
I believed it was Karen's.
Jennifer McCabe on the stand in the Karen Reed retrial. Welcome back. We're live in Dedham, Massachusetts. The courthouse just steps away. We've got a live studio audience, and we're hearing a lot from them this hour. We're going through all the videos in the case, and we're going in chronological order and asking the question, what do these videos reveal? Let's get to the next one. This is that dash cam video of the responding officer in the morning when they discover John O'Keefe's body in the snow. You see Karen Reed, Jennifer McCabe, who you just saw. Let's take a look. This is such a powerful video, but, you know, what does it really reveal? I want to go over to Cody Thomas, Court TV field reporter. So Cody, this video, there's many different aspects of it, but I think what's also interesting is it shows everyone where John O'Keefe was found, because you can really see the flagpole.
Absolutely, Vinny. So I got to give this one a little bit of context, because obviously it's a little bit difficult to see. It's really dark. 6:11 a.m. Here's the flagpole right here. We have it labeled. This guy right here is Timothy Nuttall, one of the first responders. And how do we know that? Is because when he testified, they played the same video and he identified himself right here. Now, this dark area we have circled, you could kind of make out a little bit more of what's going on in the video. That's more of his team over here actually working on John O'Keefe, according to his testimony. So this area right here that we have circled is where John O'Keefe's body was found in that video.
And you can see how close it is to the road as well. What does this reveal to you?
I thought this was so significant, Vinny, just because it really captures. Now, that's a blizzard. That is wind howling. It is dark. You see chaos, a very upset Karen Reed there. But I also think it showed to me that Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts, they didn't embellish. Their version of events matched exactly what we see in that video.
I think in addition to that, and this is kind of thing everybody may have a different opinion as to how a person should or does react, but if that's a loved one of mine, I'm not leaving the body. I'm not running around the street screaming for no apparent reason, accomplishing nothing. I'm there with that person I love.
Now, my opinion of this, you know, is regardless of no matter which way you're leaning towards this case right now, as the jury's trying to figure it out, I have been, unfortunately, at scenes like this as a reporter. I'm sure you have too. And if there is snow on the ground and you have all of these flashing lights, it's going to be projected and it's going to be brighter than what it appears in this video, yet no one comes out of their house.
That's an interesting problem. Let's go back to Cody. He's got an audience member. I'm interested what they see in this video.
Who do we have here tonight?
Hi, I'm Linda.
Linda, what do you make of this video? What do you make of what's going on right here in this still frame?
I was hoping I got a different one, but that's all right. It is very difficult to see. It's chaotic when you pull up. I think I'm very shocked, you know, that more people didn't come out of their homes with all the commotion, even neighbors. I think, you know, I would have run to the door, or anybody, even Karen should have ran up to the door just in the moment of the homeowners, you know, that live there. I definitely think she's, you know, hysterical. Anybody would be. I really just, it's just tough to say. It's chaotic. It's really. I do want to say something. I hope that you have a justice for John O'Keefe's show, no matter when this is done. I really do.
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
you'll come back, Vinnie.
Catherine, what does this reveal to you?
Well, I think it just shows the overall sort of chaoticness of the scene. And it goes to, you know, we're all looking at it, you know, should this person act this way? Should Jen act this way? Karen act this way? And the reality is that when you have something that's traumatic, that's sudden, that, you know, theoretically all three of these women don't know where John is, and all of a sudden they find him essentially deceased in the lawn, you know, that they're frantic. And maybe they're frantic in different ways. You know, you see the first responders getting on scene. So it's, as Rick said, it's difficult to judge how people react to trauma, and
I've
some
heard
people
that
react very differently.
many times. All right, we got to get to the next video.
Okay,
Let's
go
do
ahead.
it. Save it, but we'll get to this next video. 8:23 dash cam video pulling up into John O'Keefe's driveway, and in front of the dash cam, in front of the patrolman who's responding to the house there, is Karen Reed's SUV. Let's take a look. All right. To me, this is probably the best image of the taillight for prosecutors. Cody, what do you see over there?
Yeah, Vinny, so of course we took the still frame because right in clear view of that dash cam was the taillight again in question. So, you know, it's a little blurry here on the blow up, but you see snow gathering over here, you see snow gathering over on this side. You have to make out what you will make out of it. You know,
Yeah.
does it look a little white over there? Is there more red over here?
Yeah, and this one, I see no red on that right side. This is the one, but people are saying, well, it's the snow.
Well, I think that's what makes it difficult to interpret it. I think you're right in that you see far less red in this picture, but we also have a lot more snow that's fallen, so it's difficult to decipher what is snow versus what's, you know, an open crack or a broken piece.
I found this video, it was haunting when they played it, and they all are when they play them in the courtroom. And just so everyone understands, we've talked about, there's big screens, and I was telling Rick, and it's very loud. But this is haunting because you're really seeing it right after, and the way they zoomed in on it, it made a very uncomfortable moment in the courtroom.
All right. Cody, what does our audience member think of this?
What's your name?
Carrie.
Happy to be here?
Yes.
What do you make of this photo?
So there's a lot that is hinging on this taillight, right? Like you said before, I think it could go one way or the other. That other video, it depends on which side you're on, which way you want to lean on. I think it's pretty clear there that there's not a problem, right? There's not a problem with it.
Not a problem for who? Prosecution or defense?
not a problem for the defense.
Okay.
Right? Because I don't see, is there more red? It's hard to see in this picture. I don't know. That other picture of her backing up is, you're not really sure. And I'm not really sure in this picture either, which way it goes. As for, can I just say something about the other video that played before this?
Sure.
So I just want to say, if you ask me, it was quite apparent that Karen Reed may have still have been drunk when she went to that scene, because she was all over the place. It was a little dramatic. It was a little more, I think, than needed to be. The other ladies, who was also their friend and their loved one, were not running around crazy like that. Either she was still drunk or it was over the top.
Yeah, well, I mean, about alcohol.
It was at 9
later.
o'clock. It was still very high. What I was going to mention, if you remember the final voicemail for John O'Keefe, you could just hear the audio of the previous video, and that was really haunting in the courtroom because we knew what the visual looked like, but you were just listening to the voicemail. She accidentally dialed, I think, Kurt, his voicemail.
On a practical basis, a lot of litigators got to think about what the jurors are actually going to have for the physical evidence when they go back and do the deliberation.
They give them the videos? Are they allowed to watch it?
It all depends on how it went in, but in this day and age, they should have the videos, but they are likely not going to have the opportunity to zoom in and zoom out. The coloration, are they going to see something more akin to what's standing in front of Cody, or are they going to say something more akin to being on a color TV?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that leads jurors to say, no, I saw it in the courtroom, it was this, and the others to say, no, it wasn't, it was that.
Yeah, because most of the time in these cases, I know we're going to break, but it's a laptop that goes back with them.
A laptop. Great.
Yeah.
All right, don't go anywhere, folks. We've got a lot more to get to. More videos as we take a look at the evidence in the retrial of the century. Welcome back to Vinnie Politan Investigates. We are live in Dedham, Massachusetts. This is the town where Karen Reed is on trial once again. Courthouse just down the block. We've got a live studio audience helping us out a lot this hour. You'll hear their viewpoints, their opinions, their theories. But what we're doing and continuing to do this hour is taking a look at some of the videos in the case. Now, for those of you who don't know the backstory of what happened the night John O'Keefe died, take a look.
The retrial of Karen Reed, accused of murdering her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, has captured the nation. Social media on fire with opinions and clips of testimony. But it's not social media videos that will make the difference. Instead, it may be the surveillance videos that tilt the scales of justice. Both sides have been using the videos to try to prove their case, but only one side can be right. Will this jury be able to decipher what is happening in the grainy, blurry videos, with each frame, each image telling a story? But is it a story of guilt or a story of innocence?
And that is our ongoing question in our investigation this hour. What do these videos reveal? Let's get to the guests who are joining us tonight, helping us out, answering this question. Attorney, former prosecutor Catherine Loftus is with us. Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who has spent a lot of time in Dedham.
Yeah, last year and this year.
I think you can vote in the next election up here. I think you've been up here long enough. Also with us, longtime Massachusetts attorney Rick Grundy and John DePietro, host and creator of Road Patrol Live. And of course, Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas here as well, helping us out. Let's get to the next video. This is the video at the time when Karen Reed's car goes from John O'Keefe's house and is driven to her parents' house and then is towed. Let's watch. And this is the moment that Karen Reed's SUV is taken by state police. It's now in their custody. Trooper Proctor, the tow truck driver, taking that SUV. Cody Thomas is with us. Cody, you've got an incredible freeze frame from that video.
Absolutely, Vinny. You know, we had to work with what we got because that ring camera video cuts off a little bit, but we zoomed in again on the taillight in question. If you look real close at this photo, Vinny, we have it circled here. A little bit to the left, half of the taillight is a little bit more red than the right half. Now, some could say, oh, that's what happens when you put a car in reverse. But remember, it's getting towed. It's not going in reverse. So it's lighter on this side, a little bit more red over here. But you have to really have a keen eye to really see that when you zoom in on this picture.
Yeah, so there were two parts of this video. And what did it reveal to you, Catherine, this video, as we took a look at it?
You know, it's funny, when I look at that video, I actually don't focus on the taillight at all. I think most of these pictures, videos of the taillight are difficult because of the weather to really figure out, you know, it looks like there's some missing, it looks like there's not. What I actually noticed about the video is how much snow there is when they pull the car in and also pull the car out. So you're thinking about what, you know, at 34 Fairview Road, you know, 45, 50 minutes later, the police are digging in. I mean, we're talking feet of snow that they have to get out of, you know, it's all the way up. You can't even see the tires when they pull in. So, you know, I think it really shows the weather.
This is interesting.
This is what I focus in on, is the fact that Karen Reed and her dad are looking at the back end of her car. And I've asked William Reed about this specifically as to what he saw. And he said that the taillight was cracked, but it was there, and that he hopes that he gets called because he's on the witness list, hasn't been called yet, because he wants to testify to the fact that he would have never driven the car had the taillight been missing.
Because he's the one that drove it back.
Right, but that's what he told me.
So what do you see in this one?
I think, again, I'm going to say with Catherine, it's tough. I think with the meteorologist, I thought that was smart to have him testify because he just talked about how significant this was, the biggest snowstorm of the season. So, but I think this is where you also just see it's very difficult. Is it snow? Is it broken? What's the difference between broken and cracked?
All right, Cody, you've got an audience member.
No, you got a lot to say. What's your name?
Stacy from Dorchester.
Stacy from Dorchester. Stacy,
Yes.
tell me what you make of all of this. What you make of the taillight image here? What do you make of the video?
Well, in looking at this, I can see this area right here in white, all white. It looks like it's lit up, but it is in white. And so for me, that tells me that she arrived at her father's house with a broken taillight. Now, the time says 4:12, so this is later on in the afternoon, but it's broken to me. And to me, I'm focusing on the facts, and the facts for me is she has a broken taillight. So.
Rick, you know, again, this case, it's broken. Both sides are saying it's broken, but then the question is, how broken is it? What are you seeing?
So I think I agree that this is definitely, you're seeing white, it's broken there, but the defense is going to turn around and say, well, the problem with that is that the pieces are at the scene and we see it in the driveway and it's not broken. So again, it's going to boil down to...
You're saying as broken?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's going to boil down to that. That's going to help the prosecution. They're going to say clearly the pieces are missing. As far as Papa Reed is concerned, I hope that he takes a stand because in addition to whatever else he thinks he's going to put a shine on, he's going to have to answer to the videotape of him saying, my daughter said she was backing up and she thinks she may have hit something. And to me, that's the icing on the cake of I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
I think she's going to say it was John O'Keefe's car when she's backing the car out. Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get to our next video. This one was a huge deal in the last trial because the way it was presented to the jury. It's the infamous Sally Port video. All right, last year was inverted, right was left, left was right, but it's all straightened out now. Cody, what moment did you capture over there?
The moment we captured Vinnie, again back here near the taillight in question, but we can't see it in this video, but we have Proctor and another trooper back here spending a lot of time near that taillight. No one can say what they were doing, but they were standing back there near the taillight in this Sally Port. Or Sally Port, as you say.
Sally Port, right. You got to say it correctly. So, Matt, this is like, for the defense and for the Free Karen Read movement, this is like the smoking gun moment for them. This is the opportunity that they believe Trooper Proctor had to take those pieces and then bring them to the scene.
Of what you're talking about, yes. Of the Karen Read supporters that you see out in front of the courthouse, this is one of those moments that they talk about the most.
Yeah.
You know, I quite frankly don't find it to be that odd that the two lead homicide detectives on the case would be looking at what they think is the weapon and what they believe is the, you know what I mean? They believe this is, you know, the so-called murder weapon, right? So wouldn't you expect that they would be looking at it? You know, I'm not sure that in addition to the timeline and the idea that, you know, literally creating evidence, not just, you know, creating evidence to plant.
And what's interesting here, Rick, is the way it's playing this year. Because last year, when it was inverted, it seemed like they were trying to hide the fact that Trooper Proctor went to the side that was cracked. But this year, it's a different trial. Different ball game.
Right, and speaking of which, so I don't know the answer to this, but I know that in the first trial there was a situation where the chief of police for Canton was driving down the street days after the fact and supposedly came across a piece of this lens that was picked up. That's the kind of thing, if you marry it up with this, it makes this that much stronger, because that is a strange coincidence that after crime scene has been there, gone, days later, the chief of police happens to be driving down.
14 days later or something like that.
All right. Cody is with another audience member. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Vinny, I'm sitting here with Samantha, and she actually told me she was ready for this video specifically. She was ready to dissect this one. So let's see what she has to say.
I am ready for this video because obviously it's corrected now. It was inverted last trial. They fixed it now. And I think, again, it goes back to fired former Trooper Proctor. It's him again back there. So it might look innocent if it was just any one of the investigators looking at potentially a murder weapon that might have killed John O'Keefe, but it's Proctor. It's again him doing something suspect once again. And respectfully, in regards to the first video or the one we just saw, you want me to believe a one tiny hair survived the tow truck, the drive from Fairview back to One Meadows, from One Meadows to her parents' house, onto the tow truck, and all the way back into the Sally Port? When they're opening the doors, closing the doors, the whole car is shaking, yet somehow one tiny hair remained on that bumper?
I don't think it was planted, but I mean,
I didn't say that, but how in the world?
If it's frozen, it's frozen. The element about Trooper Proctor, who was an investigator, well, I'm going to say what... Well, lead, regardless, but he wouldn't be much of an investigator if you have the defendant allegedly saying, I have a broken taillight. If he's not examining that, I don't think that would make him much of a detective.
I just think with the totality of everything Proctor did, or rather did not do in this investigation, it makes it a little bit more suspect that it's him back there on that taillight where we can't see what he's doing.
But I think that in a way actually goes to, you know, what you said is that it's Proctor back there knowing everything that we know, right? So you're looking at it through the lens. Is it suspicious in and of itself that a homicide detective is behind there? Or are we just, you know, using the information that we have to say, oh, because he's back there, it's suspicious? So I think it's, you know, is an objective juror going to make that leap without the information? Is it going to be realistic to a juror that, you know, Michael Proctor's back there creating evidence? I don't know that that's persuasive.
To me, it's just another reason why somebody needs to call him to the stand this year.
And that was my point when I talked earlier tonight. They need to call him.
Yeah.
Either side needs to call Proctor.
I think it's frustrating for the jury, right? The jury is the finder of fact. They've got to figure out what happened here. And if you don't have Trooper Proctor testify, like neither side calls him, what does the jury take away from that? Like they got to figure out the truth. And the lead investigator, who's not just managing the case, but is actually finding and examining evidence and seizing evidence, I think needs to testify as well. I think it's a big deal if he doesn't. And I think it's a big deal because the jury is given the task of telling us what happened. Well, the only way they can figure it out is if they hear from the people who were directly involved in this investigation, and he obviously would be one. Okay, it's just about that time. You've heard from them a little bit, but when we come back, It's open mic time here in downtown Dedham. We'll hear from our live studio audience, all their comments, all their questions about the entire case. That's next. Is Karen Reed a killer girlfriend?
She's guilty.
Or the scapegoat in an elaborate cover-up?
Karen Reed was framed!
Karen Reed is accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend.
Defendant stated repeatedly, I hit him.
She may end up taking the stand. Her first trial ended with a hung jury.
They haven't proven anything. Will a jury finally agree on a verdict?
We know who did it.
The Karen Reed murder retrial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
Pronam.
He's been disgraced by his own agency, not by us, by the Massachusetts State Police. Investigated, suspended, and fired. Conduct that included bias in favor of his friends, the all-powerful Albert family, and bias against my client, Miss Reed, the outsider. Do you have any idea how hard it is for a state trooper to get fired? Well, the evidence is going to show that Michael Proctor earned it.
Welcome back. We're live in Dedham, Massachusetts. It's been an absolutely amazing week here doing these shows live just down the street from the courthouse. I want to thank our crew, has been absolutely amazing. Our guests have been great. Being inside the courtroom has given me new insight into the case, but what has also been amazing is getting in touch and hearing from the folks here in Massachusetts and people who have traveled here, and I'm talking about our live studio audience, which has been awesome as well. And that is continuing right now as we continue with questions and comments. What's your name?
Maria.
All right, Maria, I could do a little bit of a Broadway tune right now, but I'm not gonna subject you to that. What's your question, comment?
I have a question for the panel. I just wanted to ask if anyone thought it was possible that Karen did back up into him and Trooper Proctor did some funny business just to kind of like nail in the coffin, so to speak, like, you know, so it's like a no question about it.
It's difficult for my position because I think it is also important when we talk about the idea of Michael Proctor and the, you know, planting evidence and things like that. She was originally charged with manslaughter, so the police take out the charges against her. It's not a second degree. I find it difficult personally to think that a trooper would put their livelihood essentially on the line for, realistically, in any normal case, manslaughter while OUI is probably going to result in a 6 months with maybe a suspended sentence after that. And so for her only to be charged with manslaughter, it seems like a big risk to take.
Fascinating point of view, but thank you so much for that. Because I haven't heard that before. Like someone saying, well, she did do it, but then they made sure there was extra evidence to make sure the cop killer gets convicted.
Yeah,
appreciate that, Maria. Come on down. What's your name?
Michelle.
Michelle.
I just wanted to ask the panel if Miss Reed is found not guilty, do you think she'll stay in this area?
She's got to stay around for her civil trial at a minimum, but I think she probably would. You know, she obviously seems to be very close with her family. And to be honest with you, a little tone deaf to what's coming down on her. So I don't think she's up and going anywhere.
I think it's a good question, though. Maybe she would want to relocate somewhere, maybe Los Angeles. Maybe she feels there'd be an audience for her in some way.
Historically, in big court TV cases where there's been a not guilty, most of those defendants do, in fact, relocate and switch their lives. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
I like
Come
that.
on down. Hi. What's your name?
Jen.
All right, Jen.
My question is for the panel. I'm wondering how many times you've seen a medical examiner find an undetermined death and have a guilty finding.
Very often. And that's one of the kind of, the defense is trying to make something more of it here. No expert should be told anything further about the investigation outside of their expertise. And right here in Norfolk, back when I first took over the homicide, when I showed up, there was a pending case where the person was indicted by virtue of a bite mark, which DNA proved was not from the individual charged. And what happened was that expert, who was debunked in many cases after that, was asking the troopers, tell me more about the case. There was a dog who took him to the defendant's place. The dog sniffed to the front door, which was never used. The individual was somewhat of a hermit. When we went into the house, we had newspapers stacked high, walking through passageways, dead cats in the freezer. All of this was relayed to the bite expert, and then he issued his opinion. So you know what? When it's a gunshot wound, all right, and you end up in the medical examiner's office, it's a homicide. And I can tell you it's a homicide, medical examiner. I can't tell you who pulled the trigger. That's what happens on the scene, and that's what happened here. These injuries are consistent with both theories. Who did it? That's not what a medical examiner
I think
does.
you found the name, the title for your memoir, Rick Grundy, Dead Cats in the Freezer. There we go. Next up, come on down.
I have a question for the panel. So I'm an engineer and I think like that. Do you think that there's going to be a 3D rendering of how the prosecution is suggesting that it happened?
Yes, we're hearing it's going to be a very impressive PowerPoint presentation that you're going to be able to see exactly like a cartoon, exactly how they claim that he was clipped. I've also heard, if you notice, that Hank Brennan was focusing on, they call it like the spoiler on top of her SUV. And John O'Keefe, one of the people at the scene told me, John O'Keefe's right eye, when they got there, it was like a golf ball. So they actually believed that the spoiler caught that right eye.
I'm saying a 3D rendering. So what I'm hoping is, because there should be, with all the biomechanics and all the engineers, there should be a 3D rendering, which would be a 3D recreation of this, because I feel like if they could prove it, there should be a 3D rendering, which would be a video of exactly how it happened. Do you think that'll happen, or is it just going to be the PowerPoint?
I think that we might see that. We're going to hear from Aperture, and that is what we were talking about earlier. That is the people that were hired, the engineers for the prosecution. Brand new. We haven't heard from them before. And then also, ARCA has also done more work on this, and we're going to see new information from them as well. So I think that you're right.
All right, we have time. Really quick, we're running out of time.
Can you be charged with OUI in the state of Massachusetts based on videos?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you so much.
I was wondering.
Big thank you, Catherine Loftus. Matt Johnson will stay here. He's amazing. Cody Thomas. We've got Rick Grundy and John DePietro. Thank you so much. And thank you to our incredible studio audience. That's a wrap from Denham, Massachusetts. I'll be back in the studio next week. We'll keep searching for answers as the investigation continues. Thank you so much.